Yes, why are we in this moment of surprise? About 10 years ago, I was in a deep meditation beneath a great old oak tree, and I heard from within a voice that said, "You are entering the age of surprise." And I said, "What do you mean?" And the voice said that everything is going to become upside down. What you thought was up is going to be down. What you thought was down is going to be up. People are going to present themselves as one thing, and then you'll find out they're the opposite of what they presented themselves to be. Your world is going to be filled with surprises, but there's going to be many wonderful surprises too. Surprises of love, surprises of joy, surprises of life, that dreams that you've had, like really manifesting very quickly. This is the age of surprise. It's exactly what the voice said. Then I said to the voice, "Okay, well, why did you tell me, and what am I supposed to do now with this information?" And the voice said, obviously it was a very ancient voice, said, "Oh, go to a mountain top and shout it out to the people." I was like, this is the wrong century for that. But okay, I'll do my best. And so my husband Will and I, who you met, we went on a surprise tour, and we put together a book, the Not So Little Book of Surprises, that had these messages and really prophecy, a roadmap of what's happening, why it's happening, what do we need to look for, what do we need to contemplate to thrive during this age of surprise.
Hello, my name is Zenka Caro, and I'm founder of LightNet, and my passion and purpose is to make the impossible possible. I am here today with Dierdre Hade, who is a master healer. She's an author, she's a leader, and she has developed something called the Radiance Path. Now, this is a transformative journey in the wisdom traditions of the Tree of Life, Vedic, also angelics. She is also founder of the Foundation of Radiance, bringing healing to schools and prisons and all the places in the world that's truly needed. Her creative partner, William Arntz, who made the film What the Bleep, has collaborated with her on a book called The Not So Little Book of Surprises. And it is an incredible book that has all these images and poetry and thoughts that really hone in on how this reality works. And it's just incredible to see her Shakti kind of energy in everything she does, all of her healings, her books, her media. She is a very extraordinary person. It is an honor to have her here on the podcast this week. Her story of how she found her purpose is truly, truly remarkable. Check it out.
It's a very confusing time. And yes, I would love to share some of the insights. One of the first ones is this voice. I attribute it to a creator voice. And I was under this great tree, this oak tree, said that we are entering an age of the mystics, that mystical children are being born, that they are of a different frequency than the old way, the rational, linear, transactional way of being, and that these children come in with a knowingness and a sense of another world, of a world we would call heaven, a world that we would call light, a world of love, where love is the leading force, and love is what creates everything. So when they come to this world, we need to parent them differently, understand them, and listen deeply, and honor them when they say what they see. Because when they come into this world, for these kinds of souls, the world is like hitting pavement. It's very painful. And so their soul, not having guidance in how to live, becomes broken easily. Well, not the core of the soul, but the outer parts of the soul. And thus they break. So you see, we're seeing this soul group that's come, starting about 30 years ago. And we're seeing with our young people this tragic level of suicide, loss of purpose, not knowing how to function, unable to follow their parents' way that for the parents worked very, very well. You go to college, you get a job, you get your job, you work in a cubicle, and you're happy. These people, these mystics, cannot live that way because that's a death. And so they fall into addiction, a behavior of, self-harm, and they don't know a way out. So my purpose, you asked what my purpose is. My purpose is to free people from the constraints of an unconscious world. So they know that they are conscious. You know you're conscious. And you have the strength and the tools to live that way. Because we are in a transition time from a very transactional consciousness to a heart-based consciousness. Now, I'll also say that for adults, many, many adults are mystics or have a mystical core. These adults, too, are hitting the pavement now, because as we've moved into the age of Aquarius, which we have, the lens of our creation here is shifting from the head into the heart, into love. And what this frequency of love, that's the vibration of the universe, that is being revealed now in our world is doing, is it's washing and breaking. We are in the sacred fire of evolution, of conscious evolution. That's where we are. And so it's causing a lot of surprises because the way things were, the foundation, our understanding of the foundation of our lives have been turned upside down. And so now it really is the time, and what our book is about is it's the time to look within and trust yourself. Trust your inner voice. Because the same voice that said to me, you're in the age of surprise, here's what to do, it's in you. It's the same voice. That voice is the wisdom of creation. The wisdom that created all of this. And we all have the ability. And that's all mysticism is. It's not some woo-woo thing. Mysticism is the spirituality of the heart. Because there's a spirituality of the head. You can read 100 books. Many people come to me that have read every book there is. And they still say, I'm lost. My life's not working. I have anxiety. I can't sleep. I'm depressed. Why? I've read every book. So now is the time of energetic transference. And what I mean by that is the energetic transference of love, of heart to heart between us. The energetic transference of the heart of the trees, of nature, of the animals, with us and with them. You see, that world, that state of being is the mystical state of being. But it's not woo-woo, it's not off into some other world. It's very grounded, it's very here. It's the most grounded there is. But when we don't have it, when we've denied it, we're lost. We've lost our root system. When did the moment happen where I said, this is my purpose, and I went on that trajectory? Well, I can honestly tell you that it's been a lifelong journey of these moments, deeper and deeper and deeper into the valley. But my very first was at a very, very young age. And I did not know till I was older really how to process this and to make the choice to surrender my ego and allow another presence I call me or non-me to come forward to help people, to help free people. So it was a lifelong process. And as I look back on my life, I realize how my soul guided me the whole time. So I would always come back to this purpose. I'd think I wanted to do this. Oh, I'm going to be a ballerina. And I did. I was very good. But then I had a major accident. I tore my knees to shreds. No more ballet career. Spent a year in bed. The first half weeping, the second half praying, and then was accepting. Now what? So then I thought, I heard a voice that said it's time to speak. So I thought, oh, that means I'm supposed to act. Right. I was off base, but the voice said speak. I thought acting. So I started acting. I got jobs, I got work right away, started working. But I was miserable, and I knew that wasn't it. And so different things would happen to where I would have to come back into this question of who am I and what is my purpose. The other thing is I went through this long period of depression. So depression, I now know, depression is when one's own light becomes occluded. And it becomes occluded. You're not shining it. It becomes included back in on yourself and now buried. So when you're depressed, you are out of your realm of purpose. And so then the journey is, how do I find my way to purpose? And when you do, depression is lifted. It is lifted. And I want to say medication sometimes is very helpful. It's very helpful. I support it. I have clients who I say, yes, take something. However, when the journey of discovering purpose, when you pass that halfway mark of that inner work, less and less do you need the medication because it actually changes your brain chemistry. Your brain chemistry changes. You are not married to the chemistry you were born with. You actually can change your brain chemistry. And through thought, if you look up cognitive behavior therapy, you will see they have done many tests with control showing that cognitive behavior therapy changes brain chemistry. So cognitive behavior therapy is where you think a thought, I'm not worthy to live. And you immediately think a thought, I love lemonade, meaning you break off the synapse, you break the conductor with a completely different thought. So that the pattern of I'm not worthy, finally, that pattern has nowhere to go. So you can literally say anything. I love lemonade. So I took that study of cognitive behavior therapy and I said, okay, we can take it a step further. Now, that sense I'm not worthy comes up. Now call in your own divine light, the light within you, the goodness within you. I like to call that angels. That's what I work with the angels of light. Something that resonates in your heart that makes you feel happy. Immediately call that affirmation in. And what happens is this pattern now, because the third point of that is the feedback loop in the brain, in the amygdala. What happens is you've now trained your brain to have a different pattern. And the chemistry actually changes. Now, there hasn't been study with my work, but in cognitive behavior therapy, I'm just taking that and I'm putting in the divine. Because I truly believe the healing for our age of surprise is the divine. However you want to call it, doesn't matter. It is the belief and knowing there is something greater than your identification with yourself that loves you more than life itself, that has your back, that's always with you. You are never alone. You are aware of this presence. That awareness, in my 30 years of work, that's what heals and transforms. So it's taking therapy, of which I was mentored by the late Dr. LaWanda Steinberg, who is the first woman to get a PhD in psychiatry from USC, and she trained in Switzerland at the Jungian Institute and in Paris, and she was my mentor of 15 years. And we both, in conversation, she agreed, towards the end of her life, she said, you're correct. Therapy can only take us so far because it's the mind. It's the mind. Like, the mind can only heal itself so much. Then something else has to come in. That is the divine. And I believe that's the stage we are in our world, that everything that's happening is to lead us to discovering the divine, that you are divine. You are divine. It's in you. It's not what the vessel looks like, but the vessel is divine too. But it is that soul, that light, that incredible wonderment that's you, the you that's unique. There's no other you like you in all of creation. Without you, the fabric of this entire creation would have a giant hole. God would weep. God would be so sad without you being alive. That's how important you are, just existing. See, sometimes we think purpose is, I have to be this grand thing. Well, I walked away from a lot of grand things, like my acting career. I literally walked away at the peak because my hole was so empty in my belly. I said, this is not it. I'm going to be miserable. And I left. So purpose, we think the world educates us that your purpose is your career. And it may be your soul's calling. It may line up. However, that's not where we have to start with purpose, because we hit a wall. Because there's never enough. You're never one. Meaning one like you've won, right? You can get to the top and just walk off the mountain. And we've certainly seen many people who've done that, we think, oh my gosh, this person had everything and they just stepped off the cliff. Why? Because nothing means anything truly without that knowingness that you are divine, and there's a divine presence that loves you more than anything. And then with that, you can become whatever that dream is, but you'll be full because you won't be using it to fill yourself. You see, you'll be using it to give of yourself. And when you're using whatever that career is to give of yourself, to help others, to lift others up, to inspire others, to share your light, you're full. You see, you're not empty. Typically, a client will arrive with me because inside they have been having a rumbling of something in my life isn't working. I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied. I feel lost. I don't know where what is my purpose. I feel like I'm just going through rote in life. Where's meaning? So people will arrive in that state. They're seeking to find guidance. The other state that people will arrive to me is they've just had a major breakdown, calamity, whether it's a mental breakdown, they don't understand what happened, or financial loss, a marriage loss of a child, something quite astronomical, we've had a lot of, fires and people losing so much. So people will come to me when the world has been so turned upside down, they don't feel they can they don't know where to go, what to do. And typically in the olden times, we would go to the church or our religion, to find solace and help with these things. But because we're in this age of transition, of rediscovering our spirituality, many of the modalities within religion simply, they don't serve everybody. So many people just feel like, I fall through the cracks. There's nothing for me. So I'm like for those people. Also, many people come who do have a religion, but mainly people, it's like I don't fit in anywhere. I don't know where. I feel lost. Where do I go? So that's how people are when they come. And then after our work, where are they when they leave? Well, I can joyfully say the people who've had mental breakdowns, very serious breakdowns, their mind is well, they're able to function again, and they discover they have another purpose, a different purpose than what it was. So what I do is guide them to be able to keep their family, keep their wife. Like, you don't have to break everything apart because now you've discovered your real purpose. We want to be kind. And then for those who feel that rumbling inside and they feel dissatisfied with life, they feel like they're unhappy, they don't know why, they're searching for meaning. Those people walk away with meaning, with, I found myself. I have a sense of meaning. I understand also, because this is a big one right now, I understand why things are happening the way they're happening in the world and around me. So I can have peace in it all. I can have freedom. That's a very big one. I grew up in a family, we're talking parents, grandparents, everybody, of scientists at the University of Chicago. You could not get more scientific nor more atheist than my family. So I started seeing angels when I was about 6. And I would tell my parents about this. Well, you can imagine their reaction. My father's, Dierdre, she has such an imagination. And then they would get worried. They'd have these conversations. And we're so worried about Dierdre. She has this overactive imagination. Seeing angels. Where did she get this notion from? I mean, because I never went to church. I never was allowed to go anywhere religious. And they just showed up. So I understand your skepticism. Well, because of this, I have spent my life studying what is this phenomenon? What are angels? Because I have had these visitations with angels. So I asked them, but I also studied. I really went into deep study about 25 years ago, studying what's written about angels, what's out there about angels. And I did exhaustive study because, of course, I come from a family of scientists. So you study everything, right? Like you overstudy. So I was just delighted to find out there's a lot of information about angels. And I've distilled it down to this. Angels they come from the Hebrew word, the word angel, which there are also in Tibetan lore and all this, but I'm just going to focus in the Judeo-Christian for this moment. Come from the Hebrew word melachim. And melachim means a package of light or a messenger of light. That's the actual translation. And it said in the ancient text that when we were created, in the beginning of creating, that the Creator created this realm of angels, meaning these of light, packets of light. I won't get into the creation story. I'm going to jump forward to how it's relative to us. That the angels, which are very much also us, are energies which bring the Creator's healing message, inspiration, and idea in a unique way to you personally. So if you can think of the Creator as, such as in Buddhism or the Zen, the creation, the Tao is the nothingness. It's this pure space, right? There's also the Creator that is personal. So then we come back to the Judeo-Christian methodology, that God is very personal. God, or like Jesus, the Son of God. You can have this personal experience with God. So the angels are these helpers, so that all of it is everything, vastness, which is so very difficult to comprehend. God, this Creator, this intelligence, created this network of light, of consciousness, to help us individually with our problems. So it's not so far away that we can't wrap our mind around it. And so out of God's loving kindness, God said, well, I'm going to create these angels, these packets of light, so that my beloveds, my humans, can have a relationship with me, and I can address very specific problems that they need help with, because in the physical world, they're going to need a lot of help. And the Creator knew that this world is fraught with challenges. You have time and space. Let's just start with that. Time and space means one day you'll die. Our souls, which are eternal, grieve. Because the soul says, wait a minute, what do you mean that person's gone? That's not possible, because the soul lives outside of time and space. There's no death in the realm of the soul. So it's the soul that weeps when we weep. It's the soul. Because it can't, what do you mean my mom's gone? That's not possible. And so we do need to grieve. It's healing, it's grace. And when we're grieving, the angels come to bring comfort. to bring help. So the angels are very misunderstood, and I really asked about purpose, but one of my jobs here is to educate people and help people, drop that secular Western world mindset and kind of step back into the wonderment of our consciousness of, wow, there are angels. There are these spirit beings. There are energies that who will show up and help me when I need help. And there are hundreds of thousands of testimonials of people who've been helped by angels. So when you said to me that you were, hey, what's this angel thing? I just had to giggle, because the other thing that I was told under this oak tree was that this is the age where the veils are thinning between our world and the worlds of light, and that the angels are actually here in massive numbers to help us through the ages, surprise this age of massive change, because we need a lot of help. And the Creator is saying, please tell people please ask people to ask and to be open to these benevolent beings to being in your life to help you, because they actually bring the miracles of the Creator of God. They bring the divine miracles for us. And we're all angels inside. That's, the better part of ourself. Many times angels are people. They just come into someone. I know people who, will show up at the right time with somebody who needs something, and right? We've heard these stories. So that angelic part of themselves got a message. Oh, I need to be here. And oh my gosh, you just saved a life. Right? How would someone who's never done this before actually call their angels? The answer is simply ask. I work with prayer. Again, prayer is not in the transactional, secular point of view of spirituality, but the longer I live and the more I work with all these people, I am convinced the key is prayer. Why? And this goes to your answer about the angels. Because prayer is a deeply intimate conversation from your heart. And the heart is the seed of our divine power. It's where our real power rests. And when you access that, you can move mountains. When you come into prayer from your heart, and you just simply say, even you can say, dear presence that I don't believe in, guide me, show me the way. Because even if you don't believe in it, it's there because it loves you no matter what. This presence is just grateful you're even asking. You say, please, would you show me my angel guides? Would you bring the angels close and show me a sign, speak to me because I'm ready now to listen. I'm open. So ask from the heart and then be open. To say, I'm going to surrender what I think I know of what is reality. I'm just going to surrender it just for a moment as an experiment. Just do that and see what happens. See what happens. Because something miraculous will happen. And when that happens, it's like with you, your heart is filled because you feel the truth. And the tears are just tears of grace, of being filled with what we've always known is real. We've always known is truth, is presence. We've just haven't given ourselves permission to open that door into that beautiful garden. Right? That's you. There were a lot of hard parts for me to live my purpose. Very difficult. I'll be honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I had to hide that I saw angels at a young age. My friends, I started an angel school in 3rd grade. It's called the After School Angel School, to teach my friends how to see angels and also teach them how to levitate. Where I got this, I don't know. But I would teach levitation. And I remember them laying down and we put our hands under and they'd go up, and a teacher found us one day and had a heart attack. And I have no idea where I knew that knowledge, right? It was just soul knowledge. So anyway, I had this school. And then my friends would come and tell their parents, and this was the Deep South in the 60s. And so all my friends would come to me and say, I'm so sorry I can't be your friend anymore because you're doing the work of the devil. Because I was teaching them how to talk to angels. I even have my workbook, and in the last page I have written down, I'm closing the After School Angel School. They're not ready yet. I still have that. So it was, I really had to go deep. And I did what I had to do, which I counsel all of the beautiful souls I'm blessed and honored to work with. When that pushback comes, just go deeper. Just go deeper into the light of your being. And so again, God, it was like orchestrated. I would have to spend my life spending long hours sitting in tree branches, long hours sitting by rivers, long hours walking through fields alone, so I could stay connected to the presence. Because if I believed what people said around me, I wouldn't want to live. I just didn't want to be here. It's too painful. So I went through my life with this secret self. I shared it maybe with a few people, shared it with my mother. But then as I became like 16, 20, 25, 30, those years, 35, I started to kind of edge out. And then in the 70s, I heard about a medium that channeled Mary, and I went to them and I said, I was all like, oh my gosh, I hear this voice, and is it real? And she helped me. So I found mentors, I found teachers that said, yes, it's real, you have a gift. And I'm so blessed, they saved my life. And I just really was led to these wonderful teachers, a lot of them really old women who'd part of different mystery schools that were hidden. And so I was able to study, and then it came up to getting back to the question of when did I decide to really go out with the gift. I had my own breaking moment where everything fell apart, and I had a choice to make. I had a choice. It's a definitive choice. And I was told I had a choice. There was a fork in the road, and you can make, and you can't wait. You can't wait a week, can't wait 2 weeks. You're going to have to make this decision right now that's going to determine your whole life. And so what happened was I went through a quite horrific divorce and was brought to court, and I had a quite mean female judge. And when it was brought to light that I had quit my career, which I did, to be a stay-at-home mother, she said quite clearly to me, who do you think you are to mother your children when the rest of us are all working? And I said, well, I've worked my whole life. It was a decision my husband and I mutually made so that our children would have a mother. And, that's why I did it, because they were more important than my career. And I actually stopped my career to mother. And she said, well, that was a mistake. And she hit the gravel, and she took away all of my alimony and most of my child support. Even though it was against the law, she did it. And I came home, and I had enough money to live 2 weeks. And I had 2 small children, and I just broke down. I said, God, I'm 40. How? I'm smart, always been on my feet. How could this happen? What will I do? So I said, okay, I don't have credentials like to go back into a job market, because I had been an actress and a choreographer and a playwright, and that's a whole different world. You have to build up that. You can't just like go back out and say, okay, I'll write a play today and someone will pay me. So I said, okay, I need money today. What do I do? And I said, I know, I'm going to go to Ralph's and I'll just bag groceries, because I have to get the money. I'm not going to lose these kids, my children. And I just broke down and I was sobbing. I was so upset. And I remember I went out onto my patio in Los Angeles, which I had covered with trees, because we lived in concrete. I have to have a tree. I went out to the trees. I'm crying and I'm crying. This is verbatim what God said. God said, okay, do you want to pay the rent? I said, yes, I do. God said, okay, then you have to do exactly as I say. I said, okay, what do you want me to do? God said, I want you to go out and heal people. And to which I said, no way, Jose. Not going to happen. I'm not going to do this. They're going to string me. They really will take my kids away, because they already were saying I was, a little cuckoo. And he said, well, God said, well, it's your choice. You have a choice. If you want to pay the rent, do as I say, you go heal people. If you don't follow that purpose of yours, of what I set you up to do, be prepared for the consequences. What do you want to do? So I had this moment of like the struggle with God, right? The struggle of, no, I'm not, please, can I do something else that is so woo-woo? Now you have to remember, this is over 25 years ago, where you say you're a healer, you are not received well in society. And I needed to be seen very well by society, or so a judge would not take my children from me. So I was like, I can't do this. So we struggled, and God kept saying over and over, do you want to pay the rent? Do you want to pay the rent? I go, yes. I said, okay, do what I say. So then I finally, at the end of the night, I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And then this interesting thing happened. This energy came in, this power came in of a courage I never thought I had. Like, okay, I can do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put myself out. And all the people that have always condemned me because, they hear me talking about the angels and whatnot, they always make remarks and sneer and whatever people do. I said, I'm going to just override that. I'm going to put this out. So then I said to God, okay, exactly what do you want me to do to heal people? Like, come on. Like, how am I going to get these people? And they're going to pay me? Right. I don't think so. And then I said, God, okay, I got it. You want me to make a flyer, put an angel on it, and offer healings? Like, are you kidding? I was like being sarcastic. And God said, yes, that's a great idea. I'm like, you were supposed to say that. So I'm desperate because the rent is due, like in 2 weeks. I'm desperate. So I call my friend Dierdre up, who did all the photography for the book. I go, Dierdre, I need a photo of an angel for my poster because I'm going to be giving healings. He goes, well, I didn't know you were a healer. And I said, well, it's just a secret I've kept for a long time, but now I need to do it. So he goes, no problem. I'll get Sheila, that's his daughter, who's 16. I'll wrap a sheet around her and Photoshop wings on her. And so he did that and he sent it over. And I said, that's perfect. I'm going to call her the Angel of Purity. So I made up these flyers. And then I said to myself, oh my gosh, I have to have a place to do these healings. And what am I going to do? So then the phone rang, literally the phone rang, and a friend of mine called in, hey, how are you doing? And I said, Callie, you won't believe what happened. And I told her, and she goes, oh, let me talk to my mom because she has an office in Beverly Hills. She's Dr. Steinberg. And let me see. She called, well, I talked to my mom and she said, of course you can do angel healings in her office in Beverly Hills. You can have it all weekend. So I went, oh, thank you, thank you. So I put the address on and I started, then the hardest part, the very hardest part. And remember, this is 25 years ago. This is like nobody's doing this stuff except, under the rafters somewhere in like a little town in Tennessee. So here I am in Beverly Hills and I'm like, with all my friends, I'm like, oh, I have this little, can you just take this? And they open. I didn't know you were a healer. I go, I know, but I am. And every time I said that, I would cringe. I would sweat. I would turn red. I would get sick. I would I could hardly even say it because I felt so like ashamed. Like, what is this kind of con I'm about to do? So I passed it out, and lo and behold, I got like 20 people called me, and they call up really quiet. Is this the angel healer? I go, yes, it is. Can I come see you? Yes. They go, no, don't tell anybody I'm coming. Oh, don't worry. Trust me. I'm not going to tell them. So I got 20 people. Then I said, oh, well, what about the money? God says, oh, well, you have to charge them. And God told me like a number. It's like $140 an hour for the healing. I go, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. God said, do you want to pay the rent or not? It's like God was like a Jewish mother. Do you want to pay the rent or not? Then that's what you have to charge. I went, okay. So I charged that. And then the day comes to give the first healing. And it was a friend I knew. I just loved her. Her name was Karen. And I was like, thank God it's her because she's so sweet. And I go to Dr. Steinberg's office. Kelly let me in. It's gorgeous. It's covered with mahogany and green leather. I mean, it's top end. And I have a table. I bring it in. But before I leave the house, I said, before I leave the house, though, all of a sudden I said, uh-oh. I said, God, you didn't tell me what to do. Like, how do I do the healing? God said, oh, yes, of course. All right, do this. So God said, get my Bible, get my incense. I have incense. God said, get these oils. I had some essential oils because I love them. And then God said, get this crystal bowl. I had this crystal bowl. I'm a musician and I got it a while back and I just love playing it. God says, get this. Now this is before anybody had crystal bowls. To get this crystal bowl, bring the crystal bowl. I said, okay, so I brought everything. We get there. The knock on the door, Karen's like, I'm here. And then all of a sudden, panic, sheer panic came in. anxiety. I'm double over. I'm sweating. And I say, God, this is it. This is the moment. I don't know what to do. I'm like, I was crying. I was like, I'll be right there, Karen, just a minute. And God says, don't do anything. Get out of the way. Just get out of the way. I'm doing this. And so I opened the door, and Karen came, oh, hi, Karen. She sat down, and I go, well, what's bothering you? And something came in, and all of a sudden I could read her whole soul. I knew exactly why she was hurt, what happened in her childhood, and I said, well, this is what I see. And she goes, how do you know this? Well, I don't know how I know this. But I told her that, and she said, oh, that's so helpful. Then I said, okay, well, let's have the healing session. I said, lay on the table. And she was there, and I literally did not know what to do. And so I'm kind of going in and out of surrender, right? So then I come in, and I'm like, uh-oh, now what? And then God says to me, I can hardly say this. God said, put your hands over her and love her. She's your daughter. She's your child. Love her as much as you love your children. And your love is going to save her life. That's all you have to do. That's what heals. And so I just did that. And I just put my hands over her. And then I just went into an altered state, and I picked up the oils and I anointed her. And then I picked up the crystal ball and I played it. And then I started praying, and then I started singing these prayers that just came in. And then I did it, and then God said, okay, she's done. And I lifted her up, and I said, how are you? And she just started crying, and she said, oh my gosh, I just feel so good. I feel so healed. I feel completely transformed. And that was it. And then the next person came, and the next person came. And then I had the rent, and I paid the rent. I never advertised. Then Dr. Steinberg wanted to meet me. We started talking, and she said to me, you have an extraordinary gift, and you're going to need to be protected. So I want you to work with me. I'm going to help you navigate with people and what's going to happen. And I'm actually writing a book about this mentorship with her. And we became very, very close. And she began to believe in angels. And then the work just progressed. And as I did the work, I grew also. And I learned more and more. And so then I decided, well, I should share the knowledge I'm getting with people. So I started teaching, and it organically began to happen. And just to kind of give like the cap of the transactional world part of the story is, not only did I pay the rent, but within a year, I said to my ex-husband, I don't need a penny from you ever again. And then after that, I met my future husband, and I'd always dreamed of leaving the concrete city and going to the nature. And the voice said to me, you keep praying for people and you keep loving people, and one day you're going to be lifted out of the concrete, and you're going to just fly into a place that looks like heaven, except you'll get to keep your body. And that's exactly what happened. 3 years later, I met my husband, and we moved up here to where we live among the oak trees and lived happily ever after. And that's really the gift of service. And with all the people I've worked with, who I've seen their lives transform from finding that divine in self and then doing what's really their purpose. The universe supports you, and your dreams really do come true. But many times the purpose is nothing like what you thought it would be. Like nowhere did I, as that little girl that saw angels, or a teenager, or any of my life, even though I was nowhere in my mind did I say, I want to become a healer when I grow up. No, I want to be a famous actress. I want to be a ballerina. It never, ever, never once said, I want to be a healer, right? But it turned out that was my purpose. And I love it. I absolutely love helping people become free. So I just want to say, when you look at purpose, your purpose may be something you don't know. You haven't even thought of. Right? But you'll know it when you arrive at it. It's very, very hard to go there. So the mind, the ego mind, is always trying to keep this information suppressed because it's a threat to the ego. This is the world of the ego, created by the ego. The pain and suffering is created by the ego. And because we have a collective belief that this is all real, we're invested in keeping that belief. When you start to break out and you say, oh, someone levitated, somebody been spooked, someone bilocated, you see an angel out of nowhere. When these things happen, the ego will come and try to clamp that down. It will try to dispel that. So that's what we've been through. That's what we're going through. But we can break out of that. That's part of the time of the age of surprise. We can break out of the limitation, the beliefs and limitation, and find the magic. Find the realness of what's going on here. The real game. It's called love. So what advice for people who don't know, if you don't know your purpose, how to find your purpose? Well, it's the first place I would recommend that you start is to find a place where you feel really happy. If it's next to a tree in nature somewhere, if you have a specific chair where the sun comes in, somewhere where you feel comfortable, and then close your eyes and look into your heart. And as you look into your heart, just merge into your heart and feel that warmth of your heart. And you may see a little light. You may see a light in your heart. Maybe it's pink, maybe it's gold, white, but it's kind of precious, precious light in your heart. And as you're looking into your heart, still the mind by watching your breath. Very simple. Watching your breath go into your heart. Watching your breath leave your heart. And then as you do this, just bringing the mind calmly back to this, watching the breath into the heart and from the heart, begin to listen. And you can just speak to the divine in this very peaceful, connected place where you can say, show me my purpose, send me a sign. What do you want me to know? I want to hear from you, because you're speaking to your soul, and your soul lives in your heart. That's what you can do. And you'll just do this till you hear an answer. You'll hear an answer. Something will come. What effect have I had on the world by living my purpose? Now, this is going to be a very metaphysical answer, to be honest. The effect I've had on this world is to open up millions of people to their own spiritual beingness, to their divine, to open people to being receiving of the angels, and listening to a higher calling of their purpose. And the reason I say this is because we are all connected. We are all in a unified field of oneness. We are all points of light in a great ocean, and we are all reflecting each other. We are each other. So in this great unified presence of the divine that we are, anything you do which is in alignment with your purpose, it shines out throughout the whole globe. It affects all of creation because your light becomes brighter. You become a lighthouse. And so it's not even that you meet these people. That's irrelevant. Or that these people even know you exist in the ego state. You actually are touching millions of people around the globe with your neshama, with your soul, because you're in your purpose. Your soul is like a sun. It's a sun shining. What happened to our society, to our world? Why is it that only the very few attain their purpose? And it's so difficult for so many along the way. That's an excellent question. It is a deep question. It is a question that requires wisdom. I'm going to give a very short answer, but the short answer falls short of the actual truth because it's a very deep question. And to understand the answer of that question, one must understand the nature of reality. And that's the quest. The quest is to know, to understand the nature of reality. Inquiry. So we are here. Ultimately, our purpose is to bring light into the world and to repair the brokenness of this world. That's it right there. To bring goodness, care, compassion, forgiveness, loving kindness, wisdom, understanding into the world. That's light. That's healing. And to redeem the brokenness, to heal the rifts, the misunderstandings, the places where we feel pain and suffering. But the how to do that and the why, that's very deep. That takes the journey. That's the spiritual journey. That is very much a part of it. The inquiry, the deeply looking within, the listening deeply, listening to others, the listening of the sages, the readings of great texts, ancient texts, follow the teachers, a guide, having a guide to understand more. Because on our journey, this journey of healing ourselves and others and redeeming the world by repairing it, as we go on this, the other spoke on this purpose of being here is to attain understanding and wisdom in the nature of reality. And we do this by inquiry, by study, just studying life, studying yourself, knowing what your buttons are, what gets you angry and why, and then healing that, understanding other people, knowing how they operate, what makes them tick, so that you can approach situations with wisdom. All this takes time. So learning, we're here to learn. And in this nature of reality here, it is set up because we have time and space, because we are in the world of change. Spring, summer, fall, the trees and nature begin to go to sleep. Winter is dormant, spring again. We have birth, growth, death. Everything in this reality goes on this journey. And in the journey, we go through things dying, birthing, dying, breaking, ending, beginning again. So that this is the world of creation. So we create anew. Our grandmother passes away, but then a new baby is born. This is the nature of reality. And in this brokenness of the nature of reality, the things that happen, there is a natural phenomenon that happens. There is personal, maybe a disease happens, something. These different things happen. As they happen, everything is leading us down a journey to discover who we are, the God within, that is outside of this temporal world, that is eternal. And this world in the nature of reality, it seems a bit like a game. It's a bit like a game. And it's just set up that way. But from my study and years of work, this is like the shortest answer I could give. And but why? The big why we'll never know. Only God knows. And we have to be okay with that.
Indeed. Why?
Well, I say it's a game because I've been studying and inquiring this planet since a very young age. And after 60 some odd years of studying this world, that's just what I've landed on. Like this, it's all a game. And there's no way out of the game. So learn the game pieces, learn how to play the game with the tools of the divine. And then the game takes on a deeper meaning. The ego structure is a game. So how to break the game? The ego is always gaming us, conning us. We do it. People do it to each other. So how do you break out of that game? Because the game is so intrinsic to the human mind. So you get the tools of divinity, and you can part those waters, part that Red Sea. So you are playing a different game. It's the game of love, the game of light. What would it be if people were awakened, aligned, and had discovered their purpose? What would the world look like? Freedom. It would look like freedom, real freedom. We would be free. Freedom is peace, and peace is freedom. Inner peace is true freedom.
The teams are closed for this season of the Purpose Lab, but you can follow along on the journey at _Hollow Movement on Instagram and our LightNet on Instagram, where we're going to be walking through the 7-stage process week by week as our teams do it inside the lab.